Rajpan. I'm an early years specialist. I've been teaching for 22 years, but I've been learning my whole life. And that's why I have a company named Edu Learn Grow. I'm passionate about creating learning environments that are engaging, meaningful, and fun for children. I'm also a sports nutritionist, an avid traveler, an active Rotarian. I'm the territory head for the Early Childhood Association Mumbai. I'm the founder of EduLearn Grow and the co-founder of the ABCD show.
Hi, I'm Bela Kutwani, also known as Big B. Big for the size of my heart and B for Bela. A fun loving person with a great sense of humor and a passionate pickleball player. National Core Committee member of Early Childhood Association, founder and principal Cosmic Kids International, co-founder Puppet Maestros and the ABCD show, an educationist and a puppeteer who helps teachers to make learning fun for children by using puppets as a tool for teaching. My vision is to help parents and teachers raise emotionally intelligent children.
Welcome to season 2 of the ABCD show. First of all, we'd like to thank all our viewers for viewing our show, for being so committed to your own learning, and for showing us all your love. We are all geared up to get you the best educators to enhance your skills and to take your knowledge to new heights.
We have some really exciting basket of offerings. We have our ABCD shows where we will call experts to talk about their best practices. We will introduce you to some really value for money and effective products and services. And we have some incredible courses that will help you gain mastery in the subject.
Season 2 has a different format. We will have Ask Amrita and Bela on alternate Wednesdays, where you will ask us your questions on child development and we will revert. And on the other 2 Wednesdays, we will have ABCD shows with speakers or we'll showcase new products or new ideas and innovations.
So, parents and teachers, email us your questions on topics relating to early childhood development, education, and rearing on the ABCD Show 6 at gmail.com. And we will be back with the answers on Facebook Live. Waiting to see you soon.
So, welcome everyone to the ABCD show. And we all know, we all are eagerly waiting to listen to what Disha has to say. But before that, we have to, of course, introduce Disha to all of you today. The topic today is language enhancing activities for young learners. And we have Disha Verma, who has Masters in Human Development and a PG Diploma in Counseling and Psychology. She has been an educator and she has a lot of experience, and she's been the head of a preschool. She's also lectured teachers and even teacher training. So Disha, there's lots of feathers on your cap, and she's also is very passionate about the early years. Her experience is in the field of curriculum development, teacher training, and parenting sessions. She has more than 15 years of work experience with children, parents, and of course, teachers in the early years. And above all, she has got two wonderful children. So, welcome, Disha, to the ABCD show. And now you have to dive right into the topic, and let's hear more from you, Disha. Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Disha. We're so happy to have you here on a
Thank
very,
you.
very interesting topic.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much to both of you. I think I'd like to say that I think you have a lot more feathers in your cap than I do. So thanks a ton for having me. I'm really looking forward to the session. Before we dive right in, I have a little link that I'm going to share on. I have already shared it. I would like all of you to go on this link and just give me a little bit about yourself. You've heard a lot about me. Let's see a little bit about yourself. I will try and share the results right here. So if you can all go on the link. I know part of my talk today is some EdTech tools. This is a wonderful tool called Mentimeter. It helps in many, many, many different ways. So, okay, I have 2 participants who replied. 3. Come on, come on. I need to see more of you.
Happy, nervous, sad, or geared up. I'm all geared up and I'm happy as well. So,
But you have to choose one.
okay. Can we also answer? I was not sure.
Of course, everybody needs to answer.
I also answered.
Excellent, excellent. Superb, excellent. So, great. I'll now go to my presentation. Thank you everybody who answered, who took the time to answer. A lot of it is also when you do take some of these, look up for some of these different tools, you can also try and think of different ways in which you can use these in your classrooms. I'm assuming a lot of them are parents, a lot of people are teachers. These are little things that keep the early, the early years classroom very engaging, keep the young ones on their toes. And these can be used even in synchronous or asynchronous classrooms. Well, let's get down to the topic. So what's really interesting, what I already said, is that the fact that we can understand and we communicate with each other, it is all about language. The very fact that we can understand each other, the very fact that we can read, the very fact that we could click on the correct icon, it is all indicative of our optimum language development. Okay, so I clearly know that the mood in the room is that a lot of people are geared up, and thank you for that. I hope I live up to it.
I'm sure.
So this is something that I have learned, and this is something that I know that most of you will agree with, is with languages, you are at home anywhere. And that's very true. Wherever you travel, wherever you are in the world, whatever language you know, you can try and make yourself at home with a little bit of communication at any given point in time. What are we going to do today? Today's session has lots of subtitles. One is introduction, which we're done, importance of language and communication, language activities, language and literacy, multilingualism, and in between these, I'll be throwing some edtech tools at you. So what is language? It is actually everywhere. I'm a mom, and I know that, when you're a mom, early on, you don't realize, but even after a few days, you realize that the way the child cries is different for different things. When the child points out, you know that the child is indicating something. So language is actually everywhere. Even math problems. I have a preteen, and when she does math and when she does word problems, I have to clearly tell her, understand the language behind the math. And I think even math, if you understand the problems, it is all about language. It's verbal, non-verbal. They are the way you dress, the way you look, the way you make eye contact. It all says something. However, today's session, we're going to focus only on spoken language. We're not looking at any of the non-verbals. We're not looking at any written communication. We are only looking at verbal language, spoken language. Okay. So during early years, you realize that children come in to our schools at various points. Some of them are very fluent, some of them not so much. Some require a little more comfort. Some children don't want to talk much. You have all sorts of children. So during early years, the language development reflects mental processes, interests. If you just give them learning corners, you'll absolutely know as good teachers what is the child's interest, because you see the child going for some particular toy, or they'll be going for some colors, or they'll be using colors in a certain way. And it also is indicative of their relationship with the world. You'll know you can know a lot of the child through the language. Depending on the language the child is speaking in, you will know the mother tongue. You'll sometimes, the language that the child used to communicate, you will also know what sort of a background does the child come from. Um, it also enhances the ability to communicate, express, and understand feelings. A lot of children are very vocal. They tell you, I don't like this, or I like this, or could I get one more of this, or I want to play. You clearly understand their feelings. However, when you look at language for school children, because we are looking at early years and we are looking at school going children, you'll realize that it is also about, we teach the children rules for putting which word comes where. If you're asking a question, you have to end with a question mark and your tone changes. So all of these things come into play in terms of language. Okay, I think all of us as early years educators know that it follows a pattern, a very distinctive pattern. None of us can really run before we have begun to crawl, just like that in language. We can't speak full sentences, sing songs, recite long stories until and unless you have cooed, babbled, spoken a broken words, joined two words together. It follows a very, very, very natural pattern. Of course, one thing that is great to remember for all of us, and I make it a point to tell all my trainees when I'm doing teacher training, is that no two children are the same. So even in our early years classroom, we'll find children at different levels, where some children might be talking a lot faster, some children might not. So although it follows a pattern, you know that each child might be at a different stage in development. So teachers and parents have a very, very, very crucial role where language development is concerned, because it becomes very important for us to focus and to expose the children to the correct language. Children pick up language and social skills because of the language, with their interactions with their caretakers, with people they interact with on a daily basis. Any questions, please make sure you put it down. If you think you have a doubt, do put it down. It'll be great. We'll take it all up in the end. Super. This is another one that I like. From the earliest moments of life, children begin to learn fundamentals of language. The most powerful influence for effective language development are verbal interaction with the caregivers. This is exactly what I spoke. Even as a baby, you'll realize that the way you use, the way you talk, the way you say the child's name, the child knows what mood you are in. Whether it is a teacher, whether it is a parent, there are sometimes in class where children will come and ask you, "Are you okay?" Or, "Did something really happen?" And just the way you say some words, they'll pick it up. Yeah. So what do you think? Language and communication, are they the same or are they different? Can I get some responses in the chat, please? They're different. Yes. Okay. Yes, you're right. All of you, it is different. Language is just the spoken language. It is the tool for communication, whereas communication is actually a bigger umbrella term where it involves a lot of things. But we can't use one versus the other. It has to be language and communication coming together. Moving on. these are just for fun. If you see, the signs are all put up to communicate something. However, some of the spellings or a punctuation or even the way they've put it up, it makes it very different. Smile, you're on camera, or slow children crossing, or even unable to eat, diarrhea. So all of these things, they make it so wrong. Although when you actually read it, you understand the meaning behind it, but the way it's put up and the way it's said, it's quite hilarious. Yeah. So why do you think language and communication are so important? I think Miss Amrita and I did speak about language being everywhere and language being the core of everything. What do you think? Anybody? You can address it in the chat. Oops. Okay, I have some answers. To get our point across and share feelings, both, yes. They're both very important. It is an essential skill that is needed to communicate. Language is exchange of information, and we all are social beings. We all need to exchange a lot of information. Each day we are all getting more and more. This whole lockdown has made us realize how it's so important to be with other people. And being with other people, the first thing that you need is language. You have to have some common language, correct? It is important that as it consists a set of social standards that show comprehension behind the meanings. It's not just taken at face value. You have to understand even with spoken language, the tone that is being used, the intonation, the voice modulation, all of that makes it very, very important. And of course, for children to relate to other children, they need language. Even for them to be able to communicate with the teacher, with the parent, language is crucial. So language is needed for communication, conversation, collaboration, and co-creation. Each of us need it at all points in time. Sorry, don't mind my son hovering around in the background. It's the time of working from home. Okay, so language-based activities. If we are going to look at it, I know as teachers, we all do these day in and day out in our classrooms. Even as parents, now that parents have become teachers, I hear a lot of my friends telling me, but how many stories shall I read? How many books shall I buy? So, of course, you're doing this to enhance the child's language. Doing it optimally, mindfully is what makes the world of a difference. So today we're going to look at all of these: listening, picture talk, stories, music, rhymes and songs, show and tell, circle time, tongue twisters, and conversations. So listening activities. What's amazing is that a lot of times as teachers and as parents, we are only giving instructions. What becomes very important is to listen. So even for children, it's important to tell them that it's very, very imperative that they listen carefully. And for younger children, start with small, simple instructions. Gradually, you can add the instruction to their vocabulary also. Talk to the children. I think, it's very important, because sometimes as educators, we are so engrossed in giving our information that we forget the whole check-in, closure, the transitioning events. So all of these get very important. It's extremely important to listen and to talk. Use props. Be a commentator. I always say that. You don't have to judge, but it's important to see what's happening, to talk about what's happening, to see something even in a video or in a movie, and to ask them that, hey, what was this about, or what did you think about it? Provide experiences for listening comprehension. Simple stuff like listening to a clip and guessing which bird it was, or which animal was it, or what was the, what was told. Just a minute. Okay. I'm sorry, I think I skipped a slide. Yeah. I love this quote. The more you listen, the more you speak. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah. The more you listen, the more you speak, the more you read, the more you write. So as young children, they listen a lot when they are much younger. Suddenly, when children begin to talk, they're talking 19 to a dozen. The more you read, the more you will write. The next one is, what do you see in this picture? I know the picture is a little blurry in the present mode, but if I was to ask you, we all have these pictures in our class, correct? When it was physical school, it was much easier to put it up. Now, in the online space also, I know a lot of teachers who are using Picture Talk as a medium for talking to children, for introducing concepts. Yes, it is about a rainy day. You can talk so much to children about it. You can talk about the rain cycle. You can talk about all the muddy puddles that they can see. You can talk about children having fun. You can talk about paper boats. You can talk about rain gear. You can talk about umbrellas and gumboots and raincoats. And it's all possible. Yes. A lot of people are doing picture talks as well. They are picture books and Picture Talk are excellent for young readers. They remember these things for a very long time. And actually, I've had instances when, a Picture Talk has brought up a lot of emotions also. You can actually, even with adults, show a picture and ask people to interpret it differently. With children also, you'll have a lot of children talking about, I like to get wet in the rain. That person is jumping and dancing just like me. Whereas you might have children. I've had children who come up and told me that, I'm not one of these children. I'm going to go and stand in one corner because I don't like getting wet. It actually tells you so much about the child. Picture books are something that I use a lot in the classroom and as well as with my own children as well. They work brilliantly while you're traveling. They work very, very, very well, even when you want the child to start making and framing some sentences. They help in left to right orientation, important for writing and reading. They help in making predictions. They help in making connections. You'll know exactly the experience the child has had by just the way they talk. You know what sort of inferences that you can make based on what the child is talking. It sets a purpose for reading. It definitely gets them interested in books. It also activates prior knowledge, where you know what the child knows and what the child doesn't. It helps in visualizing, right? We're all in Bombay and it has been a rainy day, which prompted me to bring up this image. But if you're not in Bombay, well, you can definitely visualize a lovely rainy day with you making paper boats. It helps in asking questions. Children can ask questions. And of course, you can explain concepts through it. Sorry, I've skipped it again. Now we get on to something very interesting, which is my favorite, stories. stories are an abundant, there are lots of stories that you can pick out. There are lots of wonderful story books that are available in the market. There are lots of stories that that are folk tales. There are fables. There are fantasy books. There are a lot of children are very, very, very interested in even in fiction books. Just by the age of first grade, second grade, you'll see children actually picking up bigger books also. Stories take us to a magic land. They help us see a wonder in the world. You have stories for a lot of things. You have stories for just relaxing. You can have stories to teach a concept. You can have a story to even talk about discipline, manners, some issue that you may be facing. You can have stories for all of these things. If I can ask you to put up a word in the chat, what are the words that come to your mind when you think of the benefits of using stories with children? I'm a big believer of using chats, and I'm a big believer of making the session more interactive. So I'd appreciate all responses, please. Yeah. Imagination, vocabulary sparks their imagination, yes. Visualization, great. Manners. Oh yes, Miss Himangi, I have been a very regular customer at Spellbound. Takes them into the world of fantasy. Thinking develops. You can spin your own stories. Yes, all of this, and I cannot tell you how much stories and reading help children even in later years, not just early years. It helps them, that little push, that the habit of reading when developed at a young age, children sometimes tend to carry it forward well into adulthood, and it helps them even then. Yes, makes them wonder. Yes, life skills, role plays. Oh yes, it can just go on. So I don't think I even need these slides. I think we've covered everything. Okay. Okay. Something that I'll take you through is, of course, with stories you can do a lot more. Somebody already mentioned role plays. Yes, you can do role plays with stories. You can do dramatization. You can ask children to after you've narrated the story, for them to think, imagine, doodle what their takeaway was from the story. Yes, these are all possible on the online space, and they're all possible in early years classrooms. We've done it all. So I know that it's possible. A couple of variations that I personally love are these. Step inside. That means if you're even doing a simple story like the Three Little Pigs. I've taken the Three Little Pigs because I think they're all familiar with that. You get into the character and ask the children, what do you think was the pig thinking? How do you think is he feeling? He's left home and he's gone to make his own house. How do you think that is? Would you like to do it? Or, now that the wolf has, is no more, what do you think are the pigs going to do next? So it's great for children to start thinking when you actually step inside a character. This is a very small example. You can do it for any story. Just step inside the character's shoes and ask the children to start thinking. Also, questions could be, what would you have done if you were in this character's place? And you will get such amazing answers. It's great. I love early years and I love earlier classrooms because, the children there are so unfiltered. They are so honest. They are so, they don't have filters on them. So you'll get the most amazing answers at that time. Another one that I have used in recap sessions have been this headlines. For the children to draw, for the children, just like in the newspaper, we all rely on the headline, right? If you read the headline, you know what's coming in that article. So this is exactly like that. Just the key ideas that could be put in a headline. If I was to read this particular story to you, what do you think would the headline be? So just something, and this is great because at no point is there a question of right or wrong. As educators, I think we've risen above that. We know that each child is so different. Each child has an opinion, has a viewpoint, and it needs to get accepted. So these are some of the great ways in adding variations to the storytelling. We could go on and on about storytelling, but there are a few more topics that I'd like to cover before we go on. Show and tell. I think most of us do it in our classrooms. Even in the virtual space, it's absolutely possible. This is a great tool in having even the shy, more quiet children actually speak, because they get one thing from home or from the classroom and they are supposed to talk about it. I know for the longest time, my son, who's 6, while he was in, about play school nursery, he would definitely, and even now sometimes, when he leaves the house, you'll find one little toy in his pocket at all times. It just makes him feel like he's brought something from home, And I know that if all children get a chance to speak about their favorite thing that they've brought from home, oh my God, they are just so excited. So I think everyone knows how it is done, but can it be done virtually? Anybody who's tried it virtually in their classrooms? Given a theme, given a topic, and ask the children to be ready with something to speak about? Okay. Yes, on color. Yes, about their favorite toy. Absolutely. On color, on even you can do show and tell even on the letters of the alphabet. You can do show and tell even on some simple topic, like if you're doing a topic of fruit or vegetable, or even if you're doing a topic of rainy day or a rainy gear. Yes, favorite vehicle. Absolutely. So show and tell is possible even on numbers. Keep any 5 things ready, or keep any 3 things ready. Or you can even do a wonderful show and tell pre-math concepts. Exactly. Yes, you can do it on pre-math concepts. You can do it on language concepts. You can do it even for your EVS concepts, where you are introducing something and you can ask them to keep something ready to just show you. Even if you want to keep a leaf or some stones or some vegetable or a fruit, or lots of things that can be done in show and tell. Great. Circle time. One of my most favorite experiences in my professional life has been attending a 2-day workshop on quality circle time by Jenny Mosley. This was many years ago, and it was just fantastic because circle time is so important for children. It is so crucial. I know schools that follow circle time every day. In the physical world, yes, they would do it every day in the classroom. Their day would begin with that. It's the most non-threatening time for children in classrooms. It's the time when they and the teachers are equal. There is no hierarchy. Everybody is sitting in the circle. Everybody is talking. There is respect. There is a reason why it is called a circle time, because everybody sits in a circle where you can look and you can communicate with everybody in that space. So circle time actually encourages unity, respect, turn taking, because you can talk only when you have the talking object in your hand. It makes children wait for their turn also. It also it also makes the teacher aware of the different opinions that may be shared. Okay, they think, listen, look, speak, and concentrate. So even a small question like you could share a um, you could share an example or an anecdote and ask children to talk about it. Or if you feel that there is a lot of shouting happening in class, you can bring it up in the next circle time and talk about what happens when everybody is shouting, or why do the children shout. Or you can even talk of a general topic that you'd like to bring about in class, and all of these things are shared in a circle. Yeah. um, so circle time is something that is not only great for language, but it's extremely great for socio emotional development also. Yeah. Okay, so some of the common rules that I have put down. um, I'll give you a minute to go over it. Putting your hand up to speak, or speaking object, taking turns. Yeah. If you don't want to say anything, you can say pass, move it around, and valuing contributions from everyone and not putting everyone down. This is exactly what a circle looks like. Everybody sits around in a circle and you have a conversation. Yeah. In the virtual space, I know of a lot of schools who've done it in smaller groups. And even here, even though you're not sitting in a circle, but you are in a smaller group, and you do value each other's opinions, you do value, and everybody gets a turn to talk, and you definitely keep everyone's view into mind. Yeah. Mm, okay. Sorry, any song that you can think of distinctly, a song that you can think of from your own childhood. Do put it in the chat box, please. Lakdi ki Kathi, yes. Ringer Ringer Roses, yes. And wherever this song was played, it really brought back memories, right? And you could remember each and every word and the lyrics of this song. I tell a lot of children, and I remember, yes, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Now that I'm a mother, I know that a lot of times my own children remember lyrics of the song really well, especially my 11-year-old, almost 11-year-old. You ask her a song and she remembers like the lyrics, the rap, everything to the T. But the minute you ask them to sit and study, oh my God, it becomes a big issue. So yes, that's the effect of music. A lot of times we go to watch a movie just for the songs. A lot of the times we remember the songs and the lyrics or the tune for years to come. None of us would have forgotten Lakdi Ki Kathi, right? I mean, if I ask you to sing right now, you already have it playing somewhere in your mind. So of course, music plays a very big part in our lives. But music, movement, rhymes are a great way to enhance language. A lot of songs in the pandemic also came up of washing hands, and yes, if you're happy and you know it, yes, a lot of these words were put into songs because that's what children associate with a lot. So yes, singing time is very, very important, very precious for children, for teachers also. I know that teachers in classrooms use songs to calm children down also. You just after a very rigorous session, you have a lot of these songs where which you use it so that children calm down. it also plays a very big part in making children learn new words to build their vocabulary. Okay. It's a source for improving the memory. Yes, some concepts can be remembered if they're blended into a song. You'll have a different song for washing hands. You'll have a different song for going, going home. You have a different song for wrapping up the toys. And each class and each teacher sometimes makes up their own songs for different and various situations also. So definitely songs, music, I cannot leave out when we are doing language development. It's a very integral part of it. Yeah. Yes, clean up songs, absolutely. Attention span of children increases while during singing sessions. Yes, there are some children who you'll find who are calm and who are absolutely attentive when there is a music session going on in class. Absolutely. Songs in different languages talk about different cultures. Yes, I'm a big believer of using songs in different languages. You can use songs for math skills. You can talk about songs for early numbers. Yes, we've looked at all of these others. Just flash the slide for a minute. Great. Conversations. I cannot stress on this more long enough. As teachers, especially in the virtual space, I think it's very important to have a specific check-in session, just to have some sort of a communication and conversation with the children. You can have the last 10 minutes for your closure. It's great to have one session in the, as your break time, where the teacher and the children are having snacks together and they're talking to each other. I think this is the part that our children are missing out so much right now. So it will be great to have conversations with children. Of course, I go back to my first slide where listening is as important as talking. I know I speak too much, but trust me, I also listen. So listening is also as important as talking. It's extremely important to process what you're listening. It's also important to listen to what the children are saying. I know that there are a lot of teachers and a lot of classes where you're not allowed to unmute children, or you begin the class only when you begin the class do you turn on your videos and stuff. But I feel like if you are in a small group and if you do have a chance to communicate and have conversations with children, it will make a world of a difference to their day, to your day, and it makes a great difference in, of course, language development and social emotional development as well. Moving on, I want you all to try this. Come on. In your own mind. I can see only Bela and Amrita. So I can see Bela auntie trying it though. This is for adults. This is not for children. There's one that's coming for children. Are you able to do red lorry, yellow lorry, and do it fast? Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry.
Red
Come on.
lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Yeah.
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
These are some games that we played as children, and you'll remember, and you'll remember the seashells on the seashore one, and they are great tongue twisters. That even the one in Hindi, Chandu ke chacha ne, that there were many variations to that. I think
I remember that one. Chandu ke chacha ne Chandu ke chachi ko chandni raat mein chandni ke chamat mein chutney chatai. I remember that very clearly.
And I remember this one: 6 slimy, slithery snakes slowly slithered southwards.
Wow. Yeah. So tongue twisters. Yes, we have a couple coming in the chat. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Wow, I had not heard of both of these. Great. So tongue twisters, we use it as fun and games. We've used it all our lives, but who thought that they are great ways to improve pronunciation and fluency? You become a lot more mindful. You become a lot more aware of what you are talking when you use these tongue twisters. They enhance alliteration, not exactly saying alliteration, but they enhance alliteration, repetition of sounds. They are used by not only children, but also used as adults. And it's a great game to play with the children. It helps them laugh at themselves and it helps you laugh at yourself as well. There's one more.
A big bug bit the little beetle, but the little beetle bit the big bug back. Oh my God. That was a real
Yeah.
tongue twister.
Yes. Super. How are we doing on time? I'm sorry. Have I got too carried away?
You have got 7 minutes more.
Oops. Okay. Quickly, I'll run through language and literacy. I don't need to say how important language is in literacy, because literacy for us is largely reading and writing, and language based skills definitely help in interaction for in children interacting with others, and all of these are eventually going to help you with reading and writing, whether it is pre-math, pre-reading, pre-writing concepts, moving in the book, in while you're talking about a story, moving from left to right, moving from top to bottom, using the words, children becoming aware of sight words, children enhancing their visual skills, tracing letters. All of these are happening while you do all of these language activities. Yeah. Okay. So in a nutshell, language skills encompass more than just reading. Of course, we figured that out. We talk, we listen, we read, we write with words, but they also require listening, speaking. Language goes very well with social development. Language goes very well with emotional development. Language goes very well with expressing what you're feeling. It goes extremely well if you give the correct words of what emotions the child is going through. The child is going to be able to talk to you also in making conversations. Okay, I'm going to move on. The more you read, the more things you will know, the more you place. Sorry, I think I moved too fast. The more you learn, the more places you'll go. So reading is extremely important. And when we talk about reading, of course, language plays a major role in doing that. The last thing that I want to cover is multilingualism. I know of a lot of schools, a lot of people who feel that, there can be only English as the language that can be used in the in communication, and each one has their own pros and cons, and a lot of parents from the feel that exposing the child to other languages is they're going to confuse them even more. And I've heard it from a lot of parents, I've heard it from a lot of friends. So what do you think? I mean, if I throw the question out at all of you, um, where is everybody vis-a-vis multilingualism? Do you think that children can be exposed to more languages or not? Should we stick to one language as the medium? Okay. They're more receptive in early years. Okay. Kids can learn up to 5 languages. I think I'd like to begin by saying that in India, with so many different languages and it being such a diverse country, all our children, whether we like it or no, are born multilingual. You have a mother tongue that the child is exposed to. You have a lot of other languages, regional languages that the children do pick up with their in their interaction with others. For instance, Hindi, Marathi. You have children talking in people talking to the children in these languages also. So a large, yes, a large part of a lot. Whether the child picks it up and gains mastery over it is another question, but the child is definitely exposed to it. Okay, I have, yes, the NEP definitely emphasizes on this. Yes, great. So I have this quote that says, speak to your native language to your children or watch it die within the next 20 years. Looking at relatives, speak in native language, will speak perfect English is stupid. It's like being proud of borrowed clothes. Yes. Children can be exposed to a lot of languages and they do understand it. Whether they speak it fluently or no is, like I said, whether they have gained mastery over it or no is something that's questionable, but definitely they are exposed to it. So multilingualism is the ability to speak at least 2 languages. Children are born with a brain capacity to learn language because it is the innate feature of the human brain. You know, they don't get confused if they learn more than 1 language. Definitely not. They, on the contrary, I've had instances where I've seen children speaking to different people in the different languages that they associate them with. And that's something that children have learned only because they have been given the exposure of the language. Yeah. It is important to remember that if the child mixes languages, it is not a sign of confusion. It's fine. They will eventually get to a point where they master the one that they're most exposed to. So supposing you do speak English at home and the child goes to and learns English in school, the child will definitely pick the language up. But at the same time, children will know bits of the other regional languages that he or she is exposed to. I know last holidays, this happened to me with Spanish. Both my children were learning Spanish and my husband is quite fluent in Spanish because he's lived in Mexico for a while. And so the 3 of them would actually talk Spanish and make jokes, and I would be the only one who really didn't understand much. So I also tried and picked up little bits of the language, and it was great fun. It also helped in a lot of bonding exercise in the house because then we were all laughing and we were all trying to speak something and it was all wrong and it was just fun, you know. So so there's absolutely no harm in children learning different languages. And this goes on to prove it. There is research that talks about how multilingualism helps in also multitasking. It helps in the children learning different languages, helps them also make a switch in their brain, which is exactly what I said. Child was talking in different languages to different people. Grandparents, they were talking in a different language. To the parents, they were talking in a different language. To people in school, they were talking in a different language, and they managed, so the children managed. Great. Another quote, multilingualism promotes culture. Culturally diverse child is better prepared to participate and compete in a global society. We have to realize that it is a global society now. Our children are going places. And when you talk and you expose the children to a particular language, they are only going to imbibe that culture. So the more open you are, the more open they will be. Great. Yes, I hope I have finished it in record time. Yes. To sum up, we did speak a lot about language, the ways to enhance language, the skills that can be enhanced, the activities that can be promoted, the connection between language and communication, language and literacy, and multilingualism. Okay, questions? Any questions? Anybody?
I think you have made everything so comprehensive that, Disha, I don't know. I don't see any questions.
Okay, that's
In case you
excellent.
have any questions, please put it in the question and answer box. So it's easy for us to take it up. I don't see any questions as of now.
Okay, great. Then I will stop sharing my screen.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Before I end, I definitely want feedback. So again,
Yes,
I'm going to
let's hear
share.
from the audience.
Yes, I'm going to share a Padlet link. Let's get a little more technology savvy.
Okay.
I'm going to share a Padlet link with all of you. And if you can all access that Padlet and share your feedback with me. If you cannot, I'm very happy to get some feedback even on the chat.
Let's try it out. Some technology.
Of course, please do. I will also open it to show you.
I think Disha, you should also show us how do we.
Yes, I'm
set it
getting
up.
on it. I'm getting my screen
Yeah.
on it. Yes. Okay, so I am sharing my screen now. It's taking a minute. Yes. So this is the page that you will come to. Great. There is a plus sign at the bottom that you will be able to, you click on plus, it will give you an annotate tool, a pencil sort of a tool. Get on it and do put in your feedback. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, whoever attended it. It's been wonderful.
Disha, we want to thank you. So I think I
Yes.
got a lot of stuff out here. You know what I got? Should we stop your screen share?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So, few things that I just picked up, little nuggets were,
I think screen share is still on, or what is it?
What?
No, sorry. I think my Padlet was on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So language is not only about talking and listening, little nuances like tone and, expression, all sort of make up the way you're communicating. And, distinguishing between language, communication, and how important it is to listen. And I love that activity of yours, listening to a clip and finding out the animal sound. Or I think children just love to do these activities naturally also. And it's, of course, honing your auditory skills and getting you involved in just being a patient listener. Because if you don't listen, you can't speak. And I think you covered it all, with right from the picture talk to the circle time to the stories telling. And, kudos to you that you've actually
Compiled
put in
it.
all this in one webinar. And that was really something. So thank you so much for coming here. And we're
Thank
all
you very
really
much.
happy that you were here on the ABCD show.
Yes,
Thank you
Disha.
very much.
Thanks so much for being over here. And actually, I wanted to add one thing more we could have also done is when the rhyme session that you were doing with giving some examples about. Another idea they could do is maybe just have the instrumental playing of the rhyme and the kids have to guess which rhyme it is. So it'll be very interactive with the kids. They'll really enjoy that as well.
Absolutely.
But
And it could be made into a little
Now we're
game.
talking about rhymes.
Yes.
But what about if you just hum the rhyme and have the child guess?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a
you're
good
getting
idea.
the whole tone into it and everything into it. Okay, but
Absolutely.
audience, now we have something special for you. All right. Please mail us on the ABCD show 6@gmail.com for your free online parenting summit pass. All right.
Yes.
So we have free passes, which we're happy to distribute. So just mail us the ABCD
And these are the
show
free VIP pass. So we have to tell them that. It's a VIP
Yes.
pass if you're
It's a
interested.
VIP pass.
Please email to us.
So you get
And-
access to everything that there is on the online parenting summit. Mail us and we're happy to give you a pass.
Right. And I also want to inform the audience about our upcoming course that is coming up now, which is with Sonal Judge. And the topic is transforming teaching and I can't read properly because no classes today. Transforming teaching and learning, becoming an edugenie, blend academics with fun and gamification. So this is happening only on Saturday on special request by the attendees that preferred Saturday. So we're having it on 2 Saturdays, July 17th and July 24th. So in case you want to register, please write to us and we'll give you the details on the email as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely
Bye-bye.
day. Please do like our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. And we love all your support. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye
Thank
Bye,
you very
Disha.
much.
Thank you so
Bye.
much
Thanks,
once
Disha.
again.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
Amrita.
Bye.